Hey guys, and welcome back. And in this part we're going to go ahead and create some of these screws and joint pieces that will go in here before we go ahead and move on to the next finger. Okay, so the first thing we're actually going to do is start with a new cylinder. So I'm just going to drag one out here, roughly about that size. We can go ahead and resize it later. Okay, so the next thing is you're going to select these top faces. And go ahead and extrude them. Now I'm going to go ahead and drag it up probably about that much, and then go ahead and scale this in probably about that much. Again, I'm just eyeballing this. I've got another reference that I'm using, which is not the greatest either, but it does the job. Okay, so after that we're going to go ahead and extrude again, scale in probably about that much. And once we have that, again, we're going to go ahead and extrude. I'm going to go ahead and drag it down nearly all the way to the bottom. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and extrude this once more. But before we do that, I think we'll go ahead and add in the loops that we need down here, just to make our life easier later on. So use our insert edge loop tool, and we're going to start off here, and I want these edges really tight, so I'm going to also add 2 of them. Okay, just to make sure that this will keep it really sharp. And I'm also going to add 2 here. And while we're here, we might as well do the outside bit. So I'm going to add 2 here. Two on this side, and then again, you're going to have to go ahead and add 2 over here. Right, so once we have this, now we can go ahead and move on to the next part. So again, I'm going to select all of these faces, and then go ahead and hit extrude, and I'm going to extrude it probably about 0.01, probably even less than that, 0.005, and then I'm going to, so we got that loop, and now I'm going to extrude again, scale, and I'm going to drag it in probably about here, and then again extrude, offset 0.005 to get that loop in there, and then extrude. We're going to come up just a little bit like so, so you get that loop going. If I didn't scale it by accident, so I'm going to undo that. Go ahead and extrude, offset it 0.005, and extrude, and just drag it up a little bit to get that loop, and then extrude, and we can come up all the way. Well, nearly all the way. We'll leave it a little bit lower, probably about there, should do the trick, and then extrude again, offset 0.005, extrude again, offset 0.005, and we just need to add 2 edge loops around here. There's 1, 2. Okay, so this is the shape that we're looking for, and once we smooth it, it looks pretty good around the top, obviously not the bottom, so we're going to go ahead and quickly do that as well. Select all of these. Hit extrude, offset 0.005. You just have a look if that's, yep, that will do, and then extrude again, offset 0.005, and now just go add in 2 edge loops around here. So insert edge loop, one there and one there. Okay, so once we smooth it, you get this sort of thing. This is exactly what we're looking for. So once we have this, we can go ahead and create the next part of this, but before that we're going to go ahead and rotate this -90, and then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and go to modify and make this live, and instead of making it into one piece, we're actually going to make separate pieces. So you might ask, why aren't we just extruding this? Is because I want to keep these pieces separate. Okay, so I'm just dragging out probably roughly about here. Now I'm going to drag out height, which is probably going to be roughly around there. Okay, so once we have that, this is going to be pretty straightforward. We're just going to do our usual, select all of these faces, extrude, offset 0.005, and then do that again, 0.005, and then we can use our insert edge loop tool to add in 2 edges here. And if you're asking why we're adding 2 extrusions and 2 edge loops, is because I want these edges to be really tight. Okay. If you only added 1, these corners would be a little bit softer than what I'm looking for. So now that we have that, I can go ahead and make this piece not live. So this is where we are at. And then the next piece that's going to be is basically another one of these. So we're just going to go ahead and scale this up. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this, move it over, and just go into my side view. Press F to zoom in where I was, hit X-ray, and I'm just going to go ahead and scale it up, roughly nearly the size of the original one. Okay, so now I'm just going to come out there, see how it's looking. It's looking pretty good. And then in my front view, just going to go ahead and select these vertices and just drag them out a bit, just roughly the size I'm looking for. Okay, so basically this is the piece that we just created. This is what I was looking for. I might go ahead and scale this piece up just a bit so this rim isn't as deep. And obviously there are many different ways of, you could model this all out of one piece, but I wanted to keep them separate in case, if I can talk, we want to rig this later on. It's better if these are separate because these pieces might rotate and so on. So once we have that, I'm just going to group all this together and then go to modify center pivot, and if we come up here, I'm just going to hold down V and try to move it there. There we are, if I was on my move tool. And now obviously you're going to have to go ahead and scale this to be the right size, so I'm just going to do that. Kind of drag it where it needs to sit, and it's going to sit roughly somewhere along there. So now I'm just going to go into my front view and make sure that this is lining up correctly. So I want this rim to be on the outside, okay, and basically this cylinder, I'm going to have to go all the way to this edge like so. So now I'm just going to come in here and check how this is looking. Okay, so I'm quite satisfied. I'm going to have to go ahead and move this up a bit more so we get, let's move this, we should get a little tiny rim around there, not too much. Okay, so just like that, and on the bottom it looks fine. Okay, so this was one of them, and now we're going to do the other piece for this side. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to need, basically it's nearly the same thing. We're going to need one of these, so I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that. I'm going to go ahead and rotate -180. So now I'm just moving them, and then we'll move them properly in a second. Then we're going to need one of these, so I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this as well and drag it over. Now the only difference is that this bit is going to be a little bit thicker than on the other side, so just to change things up, I'll drag this out, and then I can go back and smooth this again. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and use this piece again, so just duplicate this, drag it there, on smooth, just so I can line up the vertices. Go into my front view, and we're going to move it to about there, and I want a little gap in there, not too big, probably about there, maybe a bit more, and I'm just going to go to modify center pivot. Right, so it's looking pretty good, and now I'm going to go ahead and grab these these three, group them up, and go to modify center pivot, and now I'm going to go ahead and scale this one down a bit and drag it in where it's meant to be. So again, I want a rim on the outside. Now I'm just checking around here if that looks fine. I think we're going to make this even smaller. And again, I'm eyeballing this. Let's get in there, make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, that looks about right. And again, I'm just going to go back to my front view, unsmooth that, and just move this roughly about there. Smooth it again, and basically we've got our joint pieces. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. I think we actually also going to go ahead and add one of these rims to this side. Let me just have a look at my reference. No, actually we're going to leave that as it is. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so we've still got a little bit of time, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and start blocking out this lower finger, I think, or we're going to actually go ahead and sort these groups out because it's a bit of a mess. So before I do anything, I'm going to select all of this and go to edit, delete all by type history, and then I can go and delete that group because we don't need that one. And now I'm going to just quickly name all these. So this will be big finger, big top, and also this is the left. This is going to be our wrist, I think, or knuckle, more like it, knuckle rotation cylinder. This will be our wrist joint. This will be just a wrist screw. This will be a wrist rotation. And basically that is it. This hand group is my old one, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that, just so it don't confuse us. And this will be finger joint rotation. So now I can grab all of these and group them together into hand, I think. Apart from, well, actually I think we'll leave them as fingers. So okay, so that's pretty good. And now we're going to go ahead and just quickly start blocking out the main finger shape. So go into our side view, and we're going to use a cube again. So I'm going to drag that one out, go into my front view and just drag it out rough size. Go drag it where it should be. And again, now that we have this bit created, we can use that as our main reference really. But I'm going to stick with these, the inner side of the white lines. Now back into my front view and turn on X-ray, and you can go ahead and move this vertex there and that vertex over here, and we're going to need a loop around here, and we can go ahead and move this vertex in a little bit. Now once we have that, back into our front view, and we're going to use our insert edge loop tool, and we're going to add a loop in about here. Okay, so once we have that, you can come out there, and I'm going to select this face and extrude it up, and if I turn off X-ray I can sort out how much, probably roughly that much. Okay, maybe a bit less, yeah, about there. So this is basically nearly our general shape. We're going to go ahead and select, these, and we can go ahead and extrude. You're going to move them in a bit, probably to about there roughly, and now we can go ahead and delete these faces, because you're going to need some new ones. And again, delete these. Okay, pretty good. So once we have that, I'm just going to go ahead and isolate this, and you're going to go ahead and extrude these faces. So we're going to start off this face, that edge, that edge, that edge, and that edge. Just hit extrude, turn down the offset, hit W, and I'm just going to drag it up to about there. Will do. And then use our merge vertex tool. And we can go ahead and join these up. Okay, pretty cool. You can just go extrude this face as well, and turn down offset. So move tool, merge vertex tool, and bam. Okay, pretty cool. Now we're just going to have to add in this edge loop around here, because this is now a 5-sided face. So just use our insert edge loop tool, and I'm going to probably put it down here so it's easier for me to merge this. So again, use our merge vertex tool, snap that up, and we should have one on the bottom as well somewhere, right here. And now we just can go ahead and sort these vertices out. So I'm just going to snap them around there, just so they're lined up. This one can go to this one can go to this, and that one is fine. Okay, so we're pretty cool. Before we go ahead and end this about blocking, we're just quickly going to go ahead and actually do the bevel on this corner. So we're going to go ahead and select this too and go to bevel, and we're probably going to do about 4 segments and an offset of about, that'll be a bit too much, about 0.4 offset will do the trick. Okay, now we can go ahead and delete these 2 edges, and we're going to go ahead and make these cuts. So I'm just going to use the insert edge loop tool, and I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 cuts, and then use our interactive split tool and cut these lines in. Gotta do the same thing on the other side. And then after we've done this, we're just going to quickly go ahead and line these up. So you're going to select these 2, select that loop, hold down scale, and just sort it out so it's nice and straight. Same with this one, and same with this one. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. Got our main block blocked out. In the next part, we'll probably go ahead, well, we're most likely going to go ahead and start adding in all the edge loops to this, so we can go ahead and smooth this nicely. And then after that, we can go ahead and join the fingers up. We can go ahead and duplicate this over there because it's the same one, and then we only got the bottom thumb or finger to do. So I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. Wally is getting there and he's looking pretty cool, especially after we finish the arm. It's going to be quite easy to do the other arm because we'll just duplicate it over, so he'll look pretty cool. We'll only have to do the back and the threads. I'm looking forward to modelling the threads because I think that will look pretty cool, so I'll see you guys in the next couple of parts.